Blessings and peace to you. This is SB Favor Thinking Podcast, and my name is SB Favor. How are you doing today? It is Thursday, October 28th, 2021. Another wonderful day and another day to be thankful. We all have so much to be thankful for. If you were complaining today, I'm telling you now to stop. You have a lot to be thankful for. So, as I always say, make sure you focus on what's good, because if you do that, you can project something good to happen. So make sure you focus on what is good. If you are out there traveling about, make sure that you don't let your guard down. Keep yourself safe and keep your family members safe. We are still in the middle of a pandemic. People are still becoming ill. So please don't let your guard down. Keep yourself safe. And if you would like to donate to the podcast, you can donate at $ at SB Favor on Cash App, and I thank you so much for that. Author Dennis Scott is here, and we are going to talk about Uniqueness Wins. Stop comparing yourself to others. Unfortunately, sometimes people compare themselves to others, probably because I believe not paying attention to their own blessings. That's one reason. Another reason is, unfortunately, discontentment with their own life. But there are many reasons why people compare themselves to someone else. So we're going to get into that topic. How are you, Dennis Scott? How are you?
SB, I'm doing great. I'm fine. How are you?
I'm moving slowly tonight. But I'm here, and you know what? I'm thankful. Today was really, really good, and it was one of them days where today is one of my sensitive days, but I'm here and I'm focused, and it's a good day. But I am moving slowly. So.
Yes, indeed. And you said a key word. You said, I'm thankful.
Mm-hmm.
And just, as we move on this podcast today, it's just in my spirit just to say what the word said. It said, in all things be thankful, not for everything, but in all things be thankful, no matter what.
I agree with that, absolutely, because when we are full of gratitude, I believe it just increases more blessings. You can see the good over the negative when you just stay in a spirit of gratitude. Thank you for saying that. In this time that we're living in, we have to keep our minds right, and we have to stay focused on what is good. And we also have to look at our life daily and be thankful. And that is why we should not compare ourselves to one another. Dennis, we were talking about this topic last week a little bit, because we were talking about this episode and what we were going to talk about. And you brought up this topic. And so tell me a little bit about why you wanted to talk about this topic, people that compare themselves to others, because uniqueness wins. When we look at our own abilities, we look at where we can be a blessing to somebody else, because all of us are uniquely made. So tell me about that, Dennis, why people compare themselves to each other.
Wow, great topic, subject, and looking as, and hearing people travel throughout the world in the military, even working where I'm located in the area, Washington, Maryland, and Virginia, tri-state. And I meet people and I talk to people. And for whatever reason, I'm finding out there are more people unhappy with themselves. And one of the reasons why they're unhappy is based on this subject. They don't understand the uniqueness
Mm-hmm.
of their life, and that God created them to be unique, to be themselves and not to be someone else. And I'm seeing how they are comparing to people, and especially the older group, on feeling as if they have wasted life based on where they're located, based on their comparison to others of their age who have gone a little farther than where they are located right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's causing a sadness and there's a great deal of pain to see people to go through that because of not being aware of their own uniqueness that God created them to be.
Yeah, I also have come across different individuals that have that mindset as well. And I must say that we have to understand that we all have a different journey. And we all have the ability as individuals to look at our own uniqueness, because God made us all different. And if I was to compare myself to another woman, that would be a blind spot for me, because I'm supposed to look at my own abilities and what I have to offer the next person. So when a person does that, I believe, as you said, they're not satisfied with their own life. Unfortunately, another reason why a person could be doing that is a lack of sense of self, self-worth. Honestly, I think it's sad that people do that, because all of us have the ability to offer something to society according to our gifts and talents and abilities. And so it's sad that people would do that. So let me ask you this, from a gender point of view. I know, men think different than women. So for men, when you see a man do that, do you think he does it because he feels like he can be better, and maybe that man that might not be in the space that he's in, do you think that he is maybe sometimes looking at that person as an example? Or could he look at that person as an example?
That's and I wrestle with this subject based coming from the spiritual and natural.
Okay.
And yeah, you can wrestle with that based on seeing someone as a measuring stick, a guide, a tool, on an example.
Mm-hmm.
And as you look at that person, you admire this person, and then you look at your life, and you're wondering, then why am I not like that, or why am I not where that person is today? And so we find, as men, we beat ourselves up,
mm-hmm.
and we beat ourselves up in a way where then we allow into the pride to kick in, where that we don't want to share the pain that we're going through, because as men, we hold on to something, and we don't want the world, those surrounding around us, to know, because we have this thing that we carry as to say, hey, we got it going on, and I can't share what I'm going through, because that's not being a man.
Oh, wow. Well said. You said admiration to measuring stick. Wow. So you're saying a person can admire you, and then the measuring stick comes because they're not willing to be honest? Would you say that?
Yes, they're not willing to be honest, and not only that, they're not willing to just accept the fact is, as you stated, I mean, we're all different,
mm-hmm.
and we all come from different backgrounds,
right?
And some of us have started out way better than others in life, and I can understand that,
mm-hmm.
but don't demote yourself or lessen the value of who you are and who God created you to be, because you have a uniqueness that the world is waiting for you to give input to help the world to become much better.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's so funny, because among women, sometimes women look at each other and they say things like, well, why isn't she married? You know what I mean? I'm a single woman, and I raised my daughter mostly alone. And people look at me like, okay, well, why is she married? And then some people that are married, happily married, among my friends in my circle, they might look at me a certain way. And I feel good about who I am, because I could have been married if I wanted to be. I could be married if I wanted to be married, put it like that. And so I don't compare myself to them, because my journey was different. Some of the good and bad things that happened to me in my life, my journey was different. And so for them, some of them, they got married when they was like 21, 25 years old. That's fine and well. I could have done the same thing. But the key thing is that what I've learned growing through my experiences is we're supposed to accept our journey. We're supposed to accept the good and the bad. And whatever we go through in life, you make something of it and become something better. But never compare yourself to somebody else as if you're less than. But, I've gone through that where somebody even tried to make me feel less than in certain circumstances. But again, it has to do with the mindset and the attitude and how a person thinks. I always talk about thinking on this podcast because I believe that our thoughts are the control center for everything that can manifest in your life. And if you focus on the things that are negative, and if you focus on the things that make you feel bad about yourself, then you'll feel bad about yourself. But if you focus on the things that give you confidence and the things that make you feel good about yourself, guess what? Then you will not have to measure yourself to somebody else. I think it's, like I said, I think it's pretty sad, Dennis, that people do that. But let's talk about how people can overcome those things, how they can overcome it. Because sometimes when people compare themselves to others, sadly, it could also be a type of envy. It can be, like I said earlier, a lack of sense of self-worth. It could be a lack of accomplishments. But nobody is too old to do anything. So Dennis, let's talk about how people can overcome those things. Let's talk about that. Tell me one thing about what you think how a person can overcome that.
Well, the first thing, you have to recognize who you are as being a person God created you to be. You have to recognize the fact is that, okay, I'm good with me because I'm still moving and pressing forward, and I know that God is still, by the Spirit of God, still working in my life as He has great things for me to do. And so you have to shift the focus and focus on you, not to say being prideful, but to focus on what is it in you that you too can offer to the world, or offer to your community, or offer to your surroundings. Mm-hmm. What are you great at doing, and what do you enjoy doing? And I think once you start there, once you start identifying that you have some goods in you too, and then start focusing on that, I think that the shifting starts to shift from feeling sad to having confidence and having not low self-esteem, but being esteemed into a way of, hey, look, I can do this, and I can see clear as I move forward.
Yes, absolutely. I believe, like I mentioned a minute ago, I believe the thought life, people have to work on practicing having healthy thoughts, because thoughts matter, and healthy thoughts, like I said, it can manifest to something that you desire, something you want to see, something you pray for. Healthy thoughts are everything when it comes to your actions every single day. And I think that if people focused on just being aware of themselves inwardly, then they can manifest something more powerful outwardly. None of us should compare ourselves to anyone on any level, because God wired us all with gifts and talents to be a blessing and to offer someone something that they need. I mean, many years ago, I think it was like maybe sometime in my early 20s, many years ago, I sat down one day and I wrote a list of all the things I like to do and all the things that I had a passion for. And, because at that time I was just trying to make some career changes, and I was just trying to figure out what I wanted to study in school. And when I made that list of the things that I love to do, the things that I'm passionate about, when I looked at that list, that's when I recognized those things were my gifts and my talents. And so Nobody can do your gifts and your talents. Nobody can do it like you. There's only one you. We are reflections of our family members, but there's only one you. There's only one SB. There's only one Dennis Scott. You have children, you have family members. There's reflections of you, but there's only one you. And so in that alone, we should be confident with clarity to know that with the gift and the talent that you have to offer, nobody can do it like you. So that, we should never compare ourselves to the next person because we all have a different journey. That's just the bottom line. We just all do. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, this is good. And absolutely, you're right. And I like what Apostle Paul said in Romans 12:6. He was saying the fact that we are all given different gifts because we are all different people.
Yes.
And because my gift is different from your gift, that doesn't lessen your value. You still are valuable, and you still have value, and you're still unique, and you are unique in how God created you to use your gift that too can add some assistance into the world society.
Absolutely.
So I'm glad that you said that. I was reading, and as we are looking for ways to help people in moving forward and not to compare themselves. Mm-hmm. Mark Twain said this. He made a statement. He said, "Comparison is the death of joy."
Mm. Wow.
See, when we compare ourselves, it robs our joy. Not only that, it distracts us from our purpose in life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so when we are distracted from our purpose, and we're looking at someone else, we're trying to fulfill their purpose, which we can never do that. We can never do.
Exactly.
Because each of us has a purpose on our life, and part of that purpose, I like to call it, is part of God's big puzzle. We all fit in somewhere in God's big puzzle of this world.
Yes, absolutely. And in this time of social media, when you see people on social media boasting and flashing this and flashing that, guess what? Please understand, some of that stuff is not even real. So we can't pay attention to that. And us more older and grown folks, come on now, we got to do better. We have to have a better and healthy thought life. And also, I wanted to mention that if you see someone that may be struggling with their confidence or their self-esteem, guess what? We have also a responsibility to lift that person up. Because sometimes, Dennis, a person could be comparing themselves because they could be struggling from something that they experienced in their past, because somebody possibly told them they couldn't do it, or told them they wasn't worth it, or somebody possibly spoke down to that person. So I want to say to that woman and that man right now, if you're listening to this episode of this podcast, please understand, first and foremost, change how you think. And the people that you surround yourself with, make sure they're speaking good to you. They're speaking positive things to you. And those of us that are equipped and strong and confident, guess what? You have an accountability to make sure you lift someone else up. If a person is walking around in pride, like you mentioned earlier, Dennis, if a person is walking in pride, now that's a whole nother category. You know what I mean? Because if a person is walking in pride, now guess what? In that type of scenario, I'm going to pray for the person.
Yes, yeah. You said something in regards to hearing something during their childhood. Mm-hmm. And I wrote some stuff down here along with what you just said. Mm-hmm. Listen to the sound of comparison.
Yes.
Here it is. It's that you don't measure up to others in whatever they are doing in life, as a speaker, as an athlete, or whoever. Mm-hmm. My next bullet point is, you are nothing in comparison to them, because you don't have the education, money, looks, etc. like them. And then I have another bullet point. No one in your family compares to that family will ever achieve any good thing in life, because you are not like them and everybody like them. So if you want people to like you, you got to be like them.
Wow.
The comparison.
Wow. That's. Go ahead.
Yeah. So we get for some of us, we get beat up. Some of us we get beat up. We get beat up from childhood of our parents comparing their children with the other child.
Yes.
And not realizing what they are doing. They are molding, they're shaping their child to have low self-esteem in life.
Yes. Yes. Well said. Yes, absolutely. Yes. Yes. And that's why I said when we see someone struggling, man or woman, when we see someone that's struggling with their confidence, or maybe that person might speak certain words out of their mouth that may not be positive concerning themselves. When you hear that, we have a responsibility to esteem that person. We have the responsibility to lift that person up. We have the responsibility to make sure that that person does not leave our presence feeling that way. Because if a person doesn't feel good about themselves, guess what? And if you know that, you have the responsibility. We have the responsibility to lift that person up, listeners. We can't let people wallow in a place of not understanding they have value, just like we all have value. You know, when a person compares themselves to someone else, it's a blind spot because they lack to see their own God-given abilities. We should never compare ourselves to the next person. And if for some reason you catch yourself doing it, stop. Stop. You know, because it's not healthy. We all have our own lane. That's the way God made it. We have our own lane. We have our own journey. All of us as individuals. And in that journey, you have a lane. It's created for you so that you can offer your gifts, your talents, and your abilities. You can't be like somebody else. You can imitate or emulate somebody, but you cannot actually be somebody else. So the best person you could be is yourself, because uniqueness wins when we stop comparing ourselves to others.
Well said. And uniqueness wins. And matter of fact, when you compare, or when you're trying to be that other person, you are wasting good energy in a negative way. And it takes more work to be someone else than you being yourself.
That's right.
Enjoy who you are.
Yes, Lord.
Celebrate who you are and live the life for the joy of God and who you are, because you know why? Uniqueness wins.
Uniqueness wins. You know, Dennis, when I started this podcast, you know, people was telling me how I should talk, and they was telling me, you know, what I should say. And, you know, somebody said, oh, you know, you laugh too much. And I said, you know what? I love being me. I'm going to laugh. And guess what? Even when I trip over my words, guess what? I love the fact that I'm human. So if you hear me trip over my words, it's because I love being human. And I'm not going to edit it out, and I'm not going to feel bad about it, because I'm human and I love being me. And I'm not going to try to be something that I'm not and be perfect, because you could be walking down the street all alone and trip over something and you don't even know you don't even know why you tripped over it. Right. So
that's right. And I'm glad based on whatever they said about you, one thing for sure I want to say is use your uniqueness, meaning what you do, to make a big deal out of God or why you do it. And every day of your life, wherever you're located, just be unique in who you are.
Absolutely. You know, and like I said, listeners, I want to remind you also, again, if you see somebody that's struggling, you know, or they might have a conversation with you and they're talking about themselves in a negative way, you're on the phone or you're in the office or wherever you may be, you make sure that person doesn't leave your presence the same. You make sure you lift that person up. Make sure you make them feel good about themselves. I have to do that, Dennis. I cannot be around somebody and see them just wallowing in something. And I have to lift them up. I have to let them know that they are valuable, valuable to society and valuable to God, you know. But as you mentioned earlier, that person with the that could have pride, wow, that one right there, that's a tough one. That's a tough one, Dennis.
Yes, it is tough because what that pride is doing, it suppresses, it crushes, and leaves this person with a wounded spirit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I
Wow.
mean, it goes further than that, and where it deals with your mental health,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and it's dealing with your mental health, and without a person even being aware of what's happening in their life.
Wow. Well, when we desire to help people, they also have to want to be helped, right? So,
Yes.
if a person doesn't want the help, guess what? You got to leave them to themselves. But I would pray for them. I mean, because I've have been in situations in the past where I've tried to help somebody and they was just like, no, I don't need your help or whatever. I'm fine. I'm fine. And so I just pray for people when it comes to that. But like I said, we all have a responsibility to make sure that we esteem people and that we help them, because we don't know what people could be really struggling with in secret. So that's why I say pray, because that's a serious situation, maintaining good thoughts, that's something, like I said earlier, we have to practice, all of us, and that will eliminate it all. Sometimes women compare themselves to the next person, whether it be skin complexion, clothes, and how she wore the dress, how the next person wore the dress. Guess what? Once again, we're, as individuals, it's only one you. You know what I mean? I have a daughter. She can never be me. She can look like me, but she can never be me. She is who she is. I am who I am, right? you
Yeah, but
know?
you know what? I want to say something, and forgive me for cutting you off,
It's okay. It's okay.
but I want to celebrate you and raising and a wonderful, beautiful, outstanding young lady who I love and who my wife and who the family love, because we are family anyway. And you have done a great job as a single parent, and I am so thankful that she's part of our life, and thank you for doing an outstanding job with her.
Bless you, and thank you for the encouragement. Every time somebody says that to me, I can only give God the praise, because as a young mother I was in my 20s, I prayed for her all the time. Listeners, our children got married.
Yeah.
So it's a beautiful thing, and your family is absolutely beautiful. But I'm gonna tell you, I laid my hands on my daughter all the time as a young child, and that is the results of prayer. It had nothing to do with me. I was hands on, but I'm telling you, it's all about prayer. Prayer answers. God answers prayer, and that's what my daughter is, the result of prayer. And when I look at her life, it encourages my faith over and over again. So, is there anything else you want to share, Dennis? You got to tell me about your new book you're working on, because I know you're working on
Yeah,
something.
it's two things. Yes, since
Mm-hmm.
since last time that we were talking, the book should be heading to the editor here real soon. But really, I had not stopped, but come to a pause,
Mm-hmm.
because I came official 2 days ago of having my own company, my own business, which is the IT business, cybersecurity business. So
Congratulations.
a lot been going on and involved with that. So yeah, but I'm moving forward, and what I believe as well as is in my heart to do, and to finish this book and to speak into people's lives, to encourage them to keep pressing on through life, no matter what confronts them in life.
Yes, and you will be back again to promote it. And congratulations again on your new business venture. That's going to be awesome. Is awesome, I should say. And listeners, thank you once again for tuning in to listen to SB Favorite Thinking Podcast. We have more good inspirational content coming up over the next couple of weeks. We are going to have a woman's health topic coming up with a doctor. And I will keep you posted of when the date will be. And thank you again for tuning in. And if you would like to donate to the podcast, you can donate at $ at SB Favor Cash App. Thank you so much for your donations. And if you would like to ask me any questions of any kind, feel free. You can reach me at sbfavor@yahoo.com via email. You can also find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I also have a TikTok handle. I'm not doing no dancing over there, but you can find inspirational content. Please check out the YouTube channel. Please click like, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you share the podcast with others. And make sure you also click the bell so that you can receive a notification each time there is a new episode of SB Favorite Thinking Podcast. Listeners, I thank you so much for your support. And please share the podcast with others. I will be talking to you soon. And thanks again for tuning in. You have a good day.